Hello, Mailyn. I'm so happy to have this chance to discuss your work with you, which brings a new form of brain-based learning to the piano. Your piano method covers several extensive volumes and is wonderfully systematic in its presentation of the first learning steps at the piano. And you're saying that this is all brain-based immediately caught my attention because it's such an echo of the Feldenkrais method, which is bringing brain-based learning to movement. So you've got your own personal take on this, and I'm wondering, perhaps you could first sort of give us some background, what led you down this unusual, unique, and productive path, which you've really shaped and formed and created for yourself.
Thanks, Alan, for being here. Thank you for inviting me, first of all. I'm so happy to know you, to know your way of advancing and approaching the piano. And so when I answer your question now, it is it is a way, when I grew up, I was learning the violin first. When I was very young, and I had a musical ear, and I was feeling music very, very intensely, and was musical, had a lot of musicality, obviously, because I was very good at it. But then I started to play the piano, and in fact, it was in the beginning, it was such a weird thing for me to realize that the approach which I had to music, which I was used by the violin, it's a melodic instrument,
right?
It was so, it was so weird for me to realize, my goodness, I felt like I was being, I was like, invalid or not able to produce the sound or to produce the music as I hear it or as I feel it. And then during some time I realized, when learning the piano or playing the piano, there are so many other things needed. It's such a completely different approach and completely different, there are so many different other things which is needed to organize. In fact, to organize this massive amount of information, this massive amount of notes, of things which are coming together, which are happening at the same time, which need to be fluently, which need to work, but if I was approaching the piano with my violin approach, I say, I was used to think one note, I was used to think in melodic lines, and I was not used to think in harmonic thinking, harmonic. And so, that was the point, when I was feeling myself very, 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 I didn't know, am I musical at all? Why is it so difficult for me? It was really difficult for me at the beginning, to change my attitude, to play the piano. And so in that way, I was very lucky to have a teacher. She was also at that time already in a student group in Southern Germany, where they were in the student group, putting the question into the room, why are some students or some pupils, why is it so easy for them to learn the piano, to arrange with this massive amount of information and notes very easily, and why others have difficulties and don't manage to do it at all at some time and stop playing the piano? Because, from the student which start playing the piano and which stop playing the piano or taking piano lessons during the first 2 years, at that time, it was about, 75% was stopping after 2 years at that time. It's also a lot of time ago, but it was so obvious that something, the way of approaching was not the way my system and my body system loves it or wants it. And so this student group got into, brain function. And at that time, it was more than 20 years ago. It was, nearly 30 years ago.
Wow.
When I came there, it was just starting, it just started really slowly coming into awareness of the majority of people in the mainstream, and that there's something like brain search. First of all, there is something like brain search. Wow, we don't have one brain, but we also have two different kinds of parts of the brain which are connected together in the middle, and that it was a development, to getting into mainstream. And so there were so many knowledges and and insights which were coming through this part of brain search and brain research, which we were taking and asking ourselves, how does it help students to learn more easily?
Wow.
Yeah. And at the beginning, we didn't have any books. We didn't have any help. We just needed to work on our own. And little by little, I came then in the situation that I started to bring this knowledge into shape. As you beautifully said it, thank you for that, and to make this didactic system out of it. So that is really the structure, giving the structure also to students and teachers to learn about how important the process is if you're processing information at the piano.
So this is a wonderful description in rather broad terms that really gives me a picture. And I'm wondering, could you fill it in with you can't explain to me your whole method, right? But could you give me a couple of vignettes, a little example where I can sort of start to get a feel of like, how might that work in practice?
Okay. Yes, I'd love to do that. Because, in the beginning, when we start in the first lessons, I can give you an impression from our first lesson. Normally, you start with one note. You press one key, and then the next key, and then sometimes you start to press two keys, and something is getting more and more and more and more. Wow! And then students get, wow, I'm playing so much. I now need to press 3 keys. And it's so massive. Because the way they think, they think they need to, analyze each one of the keys. They need to know this is C, this is E, this is G.
Right.
And then, of course, my goodness, that's so impossible. If you have a piece out of, chords, you're just overwhelmed and you just give up. So, and that's why we start in our first lesson. We start with chords. We already start with chords. We start with a whole keyboard. We start with I love to call it bird's view and snail's view. We have these two. This is a wonderful picture, I think, about which students help, to realize, wow, which part are in me? I have the left brain, which is really analytic, which is logical, which is mathematic, which allows to see details one after another, but it's really, really slow.
Right.
It's really slow because it wants to put one thing after the other. Yeah. And we have the right brain. And the right brain, this is the brain which is actually 100% active with us people, and it's like the bird's view. We are viewing over a city. We're flying over it. Or you're just with one instance. In one instance, you just grab the whole picture. Cool. But you are not interested in details. But you're not interested in details in the beginning. You just you just have an impression. You just have the flair, and you just have know where to go. And so we take that approach through the bird's view, through our right brain. We catch in a kind the left brain. We go through the back door. In other ways. And in the beginning, we start with a whole keyboard. We have to get concrete. We have this combination of music notes together with the hand, with certain hand paws. And I call it paws, like a dog's paw, because the paw implicates that, yes, it's from the right. And the paw, he only has one paw. He can't move his fingers like I do. So he can't think about one thing at one time. He just makes like this, he just makes like this, and he just the whole hand. And with one impulse, I just press 5 keys. I don't think about 5, and that's a crucial point. I press 5 keys. That's the outcome. But my way of thinking is in one impulse. And so I have this begging dog. In the beginning, we start with that one. We start with a begging dog. This is really relaxed. This is really relaxed, and this is thinking as one. You're just feeling the hand as a unity. Yeah. And from that unity, from the begging dog, the dog is cleaning up the piano. We are doing like this, at the piano.
Digging
at the whole piano, just feeling the whole piano, digging really? Yes, it's all kind of digging. It's digging. We don't press. We never press keys. Never. Because keys are not to press. They're just to dig. And it's just this, this curling energy around that. And after that, after this, the begging dog is coming, the frog. And the frog, then you press keys and you take all five fingers at one time with one movement down there, like this, like digging. And then you realize, well, I don't have to think 5 times when pressing 5 keys.
Right.
And after that, I open up the mouth, and that's a crocodile.
Cool.
So, and that's the picture of the crocodile. Yeah. It's a very, very, very dangerous crocodile, because this crocodile has already 3 teeth. So that's kind of funny. So like this, I teach children, okay, but all these pictures that, as you said, as I know from your place, that is so helping adults at all, really a lot. After that crocodile, the middle finger comes down, and already we have the snail with the feelers, the 2 feelers here. And so that's our paw, that's the snail, and with this, of course, you realize the combination. Then if you look at sight reading, we have the snowman, which has 3 balls in space or in the line. And if students see the snowman, they know, wow, I need the snail. And so we have a lot of combinations like this, where we start, and it's like, a germ, which is putting into earth. And this is really, really, really naive and really like fantasy and playful, but inside of this, it's really structure, and it's the potential of getting really big, fast, and easy.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful, because you brought the body in terms of the natural movements of the body and the natural movements of body structure, and connected that directly to the right brain through imagination, through gesture, and you managed along the way to avoid all the non-productive movements that we generally bring to the piano, and do all the ones which facilitate a free-flowing movement, which gives a free-flowing sound. That's fantastic. So I get it, and it's right brain. So I love your explanation. It's very clear. Like, that's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that right brain. Is there anything you do for, again, this whole right brain holistic grasping it at once? Is there anything you can do in actual reading notes to help that happen, to see the whole instead of all the little details?
Yes.
Always bog us down.
That's the point. All the details, they make us slow, and they hinder us in getting the flow.
Yeah.
And so it's always about feeling what you see. It's all about feeling. And it's all about making these combinations and having these pictures, which give you the possibility not to see which avoids to see all the detailed notes, but to make it to see combinations. And if students realize that in music, it doesn't matter if they play, then later, of course, in my piano books, it's really made in like in a garden where everything is perfect, and it's perfect place to help students, to get into the structural thinking. But the thing behind is through this intuitive and right way of getting into the scores and seeing music, our left brain is activated and is working precisely. And we can reach a new level of precision in that way that we would not be able only with the right brain. So these tools which we created, which I also created in the last years, are helping students to really to learn. In German, there's a wonderful word. It's called begreifen, grasp. And this word begreifen, you know it. It's be and greifen. It's grasping inside. So understanding comes through grasping. And so the impulses we are training, and also these elements are trained so that they see. It doesn't matter if they play Bach or Brahms or Mozart or Chopin. They all use these structures, which we were just like extracting, getting out, like the Snowman, or the hi-hat or the low feet, which are all these structures so easy put onto a plate, that you just look at this music score on your all new music score. You look at this, but you just meet friends. You just meet common friends. Oh, I know you. I know you're a Snowman. I know you're a hyena. I know you're a caterpillar. And they, even if there are no chords, if they read melodies, they're just trained to see the structures in it. And so this is one point of brain research which is really crucial and which is really making students, unfortunately, very slow, because they try to learn isolated. Learning never is isolated. It always needs to be connected to your experience, which you bring to you, to what is to what already know. And so that the way of teaching the piano, I am happy and I'm glad to have been doing for the last decades, is to make this connected thinking, network thinking in music, to connect this new universe of music, of making music, of having it in the hands. It is so eminent to feel it, what you see, that it is really connected to seeing, grasping, and feeling goes together, and logical thinking.
The key word is feeling what you see. Like, that's brilliant. That's like, if you look at that dot on the page and it means CGE or whatever, that's left brain.
That is it, yeah, of course.
If you look at it, it's an arpeggio, then that's already more like right brain. But to feel what you see, that means you see CGE and you feel you feel what you see, and then that is already a gesture. Well, a gesture is a musical event rather than three musical events. So
musical events. That's right.
And then you make that your basic process, and then you bring this process of feeling what you see to the specifics. Like you said, you have to get back to the left brain at some point, but now it's not a stodgy left brain. It's like a black and white photograph that all of a sudden gets suffused with color. That's the right brain quality to what the left brain has to do.
Yes.
That's brilliant. I just love it.
That's exactly what you say. And that's exactly what you say. It's just exactly, this new level of connecting to what you already know, of connecting, of building bridges to the common world, to the main. That's why we always use these, these simple pictures and these simple images. It's not because we can't do complicated. It's not because we don't know, but it's because that's the way of how your brain and your system is at the highest level of ease at any time. And that's the point. You need to be at the highest level of ease. It needs to be learning the piano needs to be a process like, wow, I'm walking through a wonderful landscape and I'm just realizing, there's something to discover. And wow, sometimes it's going up, it's going down, but it's always true to what you feel and you can experience.
Cool. Well, I'm really looking forward to observing some of your seminars, participating in your seminars, and also I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works when you're actually with little kids. My curiosity has been piqued. I'm really curious to see, that moment when the feeling what you see actually has the person read like, wow, I didn't even know I could read that well, and see how it works with kids. I'm very intrigued and looking forward to that. So I'm wondering if you could sum it up. Would you have a sentence that would encompass the crux, the gist of what your last quarter century of pedagogical experience and creation has produced in terms of a question of creation at the piano?
Mark Twain said, the difference between the nearly right word and the perfectly right word is like the difference between a firefly and a lightning. And that made a really impression to me, because if you know physics and natural science, it's really, it's about finding, the ideal way, that there is a perfect word for everybody, or a perfect way to learn that everybody can understand and can get along. It's like a scientist in myself, because when I teach, it's for me, it's really exploring human, down deep in human consciousness. But if I put it in one sentence, I think it is structure filled with love.
Wow.
I think that brings it to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we're at a point at that time also where we need to find new solutions for many areas of our life now. I think, and I think it's a way now to come back to to what we really are, and just be unity, and not only decide I am left brain, I see more analytical, or I'm I'm intuitive. But I think through the piano there's such a huge possibility to get to know yourself on a level which you have never experienced it before. Because you all have it inside of yourself, structure and love. Not only one of those, but if they're combined, it's like walking with 2 feet. It's like running. And I think maybe it's a contribution to the world which is needed now, in a way.
It's been a pleasure to hear about this, and wonderful to talk with you, and I look forward to many more exchanges.
Me too. And we are exchanging in the future, and I'm very happy to have your books, when they're translated in German, on my platform, and the other way around.
And the other way around.
Your way of going into the music.
Those that are familiar, but in new clothing, so it's wonderful.
In new clothing, yeah.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Till next time.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye.